In this video, we're going to show how to link your QuickBooks Online account to your Timesheet mobile account. There's a couple ways to do this. If you haven't already signed up for Timesheet Mobile, you can go to the apps store on Intuit, and you can go to the Timesheet Mobile page and sign up here by clicking Get App Now. You'll be prompted to enter your existing QuickBooks Online username and password, and then this will link you to Timesheet Mobile. The other method is if you already have a Timesheet Mobile account. Once you're logged into your Timesheet Mobile account, you'll notice you get to the dashboard page. In here, there's no employees, customers, tasks in this fresh account that we have here as an example. And the way you'll connect to your QuickBooks Online account is go to QuickBooks. And there's two different methods. One is for QuickBooks Desktop. In this video, we're going to show how to connect to QuickBooks Online. So you follow step one here and connect to QuickBooks. This will bring up a prompt for your username, password. Then it's going to ask you, do you authorize Intuit to send your QuickBooks Online account information over to Timesheet Mobile? So we'll authorize that. And now it's transmitting the data. Depending on how many employees and customers you have, this can take a little bit of time. And now that we've connected, we'll move on to step two, where we're going to click the button to synchronize our employees, customers, items, and tasks. It indicates QuickBooks Online has completed. And now we can see our employees, customers, tasks have all been loaded here. We can check some employees. Looks like they've all been imported from QuickBooks Online. And what we'll need to do is make sure that there's a mobile phone listed for each of our employees. This will allow them to use the smartphone app or the dial-in application for the non-smartphone users. And you're going to want to make all your updates from QuickBooks Online. This way you have one place where everything will always be maintained and updated. So any employees that don't have mobile phones, you want to go into your QuickBooks Online account, add a mobile phone number for those employees. You'll also want to check on the customers that were imported from your QuickBooks Online account. First, verify that the number is correct. Any inactive customers you have will not be imported, and as you make them inactive, they'll be removed from Timesheet Mobile. You can go into the details of each customer, and as long as there is an address that was imported, you can map that address, and you can adjust the geofence here. You can, if it's not exactly where you expect it to be, you can pinpoint that by moving the thumbtack around, and then also sliding the geofence to really pinpoint or create that region where the employee should be when they punch in and punch out. Let's save that. And while you're in the customer detail section here, you want to check a couple other things. All your service items were also imported from your QuickBooks Online account, and they'll show up in this pick list here. So if you're billing a customer by the hour and you want that to show up in your customer invoices, you can select the service item, and you can also check off that this is a billable time. One more item in here is the phone number. If the phone number for the customer is imported from your QuickBooks Online, this will allow your employees to use a landline. So in the case of poor signal service and or they don't have the mobile phone, they can also use the landline that's approved for this customer site to dial into our IVR system to punch in and out. If we go over to tasks, you'll see that all your service items are also imported as tasks here. And you can assign a class to these tasks if you're using classes in QuickBooks. So all your classes were also imported from a QuickBooks Online to Timesheet Mobile. When you first log into your administrator account from any browser, you're going to securely log in and you're going to see this dashboard page. The dashboard along the top gives you some summaries on the daily total hours. And it breaks out overtime and regular time. Also, the hours for the week are broken out and the pay period. So at this point, we assume that your account is set up. You've got your employees loaded, all their information. Each employee is listed. You've got the customers listed here, tasks if you're using tasks, and this is enabling your employees to view this information on their smartphone. There's two ways that employees can punch in and out. They can use either the smartphone app that's free to use. It's available on iTunes for iPhone or on the Android Play Store. If employees don't have a smartphone, they're also able to use Timesheet Mobile by dialing in on the toll-free number that's assigned to your account. Using the location registration number, we're allowed to get their location from the cell carriers who support location services. These are carriers like AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, Boost, and a few others that are listed in our user documentation. That's changing all the time. On the map here, you're going to see the punch events for the current day. We can zoom in to a region, and now you'll be able to see the punch in indicated by the green thumbtack and the punch out indicated by the red thumbtack. Here you can see the timestamp for that punch out, and if we click on the employee's name, this will bring us to the employee summary page. So here we'll be able to view a quick snapshot of the report for the present work week. Here we see each shift indicated by what customer or job the employee is working on, the task they were performing, the punch in, punch out time for each shift, the total hours for that shift. You'll notice that there's also a globe here that's color coded. A green globe indicates that both the punch in and the punch out were within the geofence of the customer site. Now those geofence settings were set up when you set up your customer and jobs. You were able to draw a geofence around that customer site. So our system automatically checks the location recorded by the GPS on the smartphone, compares that to the geofence of the customer site, and we tell you whether they were within or without. And so in this case here, if we want to look at the detail on this shift, we'll go to the log sheet, and here it says how far away from the site the employee was when they punched out. So in this case, Anthony Jones was 500 meters away from the site when he punched out on this time on that day. And if we click on the globe here, it'll show the actual location of where he was when he punched. We can zoom in here, and the line will show where the job site geofence is. So this is the distance. It says 0.311 miles away from the site. This is where the employee was when he punched out, and this is where he should have been. Okay, so we reviewed the summary page for an individual employee. In this case, it was Anthony Jones, and we were able to see the report showing the shifts that were worked and also the individual log events with the geofence information. So how do you run a timesheet report for all your employees? You do that by clicking on timesheets, and here there's some pay period options that you can choose. For this example, we'll click on the current work week, and that brings up a summary bar for each of the employees in that work week. We see the regular hours worked and any overtime hours that were worked. If we click on Anthony Jones and expand, we'll see the details of each shift that were worked, the customer worked on, the task that was performed, the punch in, punch out times for that each shift, and the hours that were calculated for each of these shifts. Also broken out are the regular hours and overtime hours in accordance to the account settings that you have. You can set the thresholds to for the week and also for the day based on your overtime rates and laws that you have in your area. You'll notice here that there's also the geofence color coding that we talked about earlier, where red indicates that one of the punch-ins or punch-outs was outside the geofence. And if we double click on that, it'll bring up the details of this shift. The green indicates where the employee was when he punched in, and the red indicates where he was when he punched out. And in this case, he was 500 meters away from the site during this punch out. You can also click on satellite view and zoom in if you want to know exactly where that area is. Now we end up back at the timesheet reporting page, and we can look at another employee here by expanding that. We can see Marie Smith here, what job she worked on, the task, the each shift's punch in and punch out details, and the geofence report indicating that both punch in and punch out were within the geofence. And we can look at that detail here. Shows the red dot is the punch out and the green dot is the punch in. That's all good. If we go to the top of the page, there's some reporting options here. We can click on customer jobs. This is going to show the total hours worked at each customer site during this pay period. And you can see the details here if we click on it, which employees worked on that customer site, the dates, timestamps, and the total durations. If we go back, run that report one more time, current week, you'll also notice there's some export options. For QuickBooks, Timesheet Mobile is fully integrated. By clicking this button, once you approve the timesheet, all the hours will be imported into your QuickBooks Online. And for QuickBooks Desktop, this will create what's called an IIF report with all the timesheet information included that you can import to your QuickBooks Desktop. We also support export files that are CSV for ADP, for importing for your ADP, for your payroll, and likewise for Sage. We create a CSV report that's compatible to be imported to Sage. For Excel, we also support the same report that you see here in HTML. You can create an Excel report showing all the hours worked by customers or by employees.